Kate here. Happy Saturday. Today I took part in a 3-hour end of life planning workshop, and I wanted to share some highlights with you here. There was a death doula present in the workshop today, and she made this beautiful metaphor for why we should care about end of life planning and what benefit it can bring us while we're alive, which is that when you buy a house, of course you buy homeowners insurance so that while you're living in this huge investment that you've made, you can enjoy it, knowing that you've made arrangements in case something bad should happen. This is exactly what end of life care planning is, which is it is an insurance policy so that while you're alive, you can enjoy the investment of being alive, knowing that your wishes have been documented and will be carried out if and when something bad should happen to you. And I think that planning for our end of life harks back a lot to our fears of dying. We're afraid of what it might feel like when we're dying and whether it will be scary. We're afraid of not having lived in alignment with our values or not having really lived before we die. And we're afraid of when we die, our affairs being left out of order and lots of loose ends flapping in the breeze. Well, those last two fears, fear of not living before we die and fear of dying with our affairs out of order, those are very in our control. And that's what living like you might die tomorrow is all about, is accepting the reality of our mortality and then living so that we can mitigate those fears and die a peaceful and good death. And so the end of life plans that we make, they buy us comfort in life while we're alive. They also release the burden that so many of us are afraid of having on our loved ones in death. By having these decisions documented, we release our family and loved ones from the agony of having to decide what we might have wanted or what they should do on our behalf. And it also it came up in the workshop today, which is like, if you were in a terminal illness situation, wouldn't you want to have the time left to you to be able to enjoy your life and engage in activities that bring you peace as opposed to being faced with these big decisions? Well, the thing is you can make those decisions now so that if and when these incidents happen that require these difficult decisions, they're already made and you've bought yourself that insurance policy. And so what are those decisions? In the workshop today, we went over the 3 aspects of end-of-life planning. The first one is the one that we think of so often, the will, right? The legal aspect. What's going to happen with our stuff? What's going to happen with our money? What's going to happen with my collection of vintage evening purses? If you want one, put it in the comments. I'll put you in my will. But that is that's really easy. Honestly, you can do it online. It takes like 15 minutes. It just allocates who you want to take care of your assets after you die, and then what you want to be done with them. It's super easy. Do it. It's going to remove so much stress from other people's lives after you die if that's already taken care of in advance. The second aspect of end-of-life planning is the health aspect. So in the event that you are incapacitated as a result of illness or dementia or all of these other things that can happen, what are the healthcare decisions that you want made on your behalf, or what are the healthcare decisions that you state for yourself? So that is also known as like the advance directive. A lot of people are familiar with the do not resuscitate order, but it's so much more than that. It is, if you are in a terminal illness situation or have an irreversible condition, do you want to be resuscitated? Like I said, do you want to have a ventilator? If yes, then for how long? Do you want to be put on a feeding tube? Do you want to remain in a vegetative state? If so, for how long? Would you prefer to have a comfort palliative care situation and die at home? Like, these are all things that you can say in advance, and legally, like your loved ones and the medical people who are taking care of you are required to carry out your wishes. And again, this is something that is like, it's a series of forms. Like, there are so many resources out there, and I will put them on youmightdietomorrow.com, the blog, so that you can access these resources to help you complete the forms and make the decisions. The other part of the health aspect is, what do you want done with your body when you do die? So do you want to be buried, cremated, aquamated, composted, which was just legalized in, I think, Washington. And so you can make these decisions in advance, which not only brings you comfort, but also, again, releases the burden from your loved ones. And then the third aspect of end of life planning is the legacy aspect. So, what kind of ceremony do you want done after you die? Do you want a funeral? Do you want a huge party? Do you want a memorial service? If you have a headstone, what do you want it to say? Do you want a bench to be erected in your honor? Which, for me, yes, I want a bench. I want a bench somewhere beautiful so that people can stop and sit down and take a moment and enjoy life, and have that be part of my legacy. So all of these decisions relating to what happens with your stuff, what happens with your healthcare decisions and your body, and then what happens in the way that you are remembered. These are a series of decisions that you can make now that can drastically impact, for the better, the way that your end of life takes place, both for yourself and for your loved ones. And so this is an aspect of living like you might die tomorrow and mitigating fear of dying that is very much within your control. And so it's asking yourself questions like, what is your definition of life? How do you want to be remembered? What do you want done with your collection of vintage evening purses? And some of these decisions, while certainly big decisions, they're very easy to document. And this is something that, just like life, will evolve, right? Like, my end of life directive is, when it comes to my healthcare, is very different now at 34 years old than it will probably be at 54, 74, 84. And so these documents can evolve with my wishes and with my age and what I want in my life. And so living like you might die tomorrow isn't just living vibrantly and enjoying your life. It's also planning for a good death so that you can enjoy your life, and so that you can have a life and a death that's in accordance with your meaning. And so go to youmightdietomorrow.com. I'll put a link on there, or a blog post, so that you can access some of these and just get the documents in order. I send them to my family like every year. I also make sure like my affairs are in order. I'm just finishing up the book now. It's like every other week I call my sister and I'm like, Kelly, the book is on this computer in this file name, and this is how you need to get it into the world in case I die suddenly. Just bring yourself the peace. Like, it's kind of selfish in a good way, right? Like, bring yourself the peace of knowing that your wishes will be carried out, your affairs will be in order, and that your family will be relieved of the burden of making those decisions on your behalf, just by like making some of those decisions now. Because we know we will die, we don't know when, and we know that we might die tomorrow. So do your end of life care planning. Think about it. It's not morbid. It's freeing. It's freeing.